Welcome to the Dr. Mudgil podcast. This is episode 159. We are in the middle of December, last month of the year. It actually snowed a little bit here in New York. It's the first time I've seen snow in a while. I mean, it was a dusting, but it's nice to see some snow on the ground. I don't like a lot of snow. A little snow, I'm fine with. And it's cold. It is cold and windy, and it feels like winter out there, which is what it should be doing right now. It's been unseasonably warm here in New York, and finally feels like winter. So just to cut to the chase, as you know, I'm no fan of health insurance companies, and UnitedHealthcare in particular is probably the most evil, horrible health insurance company that's ever existed. Probably one of the most evil companies that's actually ever existed in history. But it is sadly, there's as I'm sure you're all aware, a tragic event in New York City yesterday early in the morning. One of the CEOs of UnitedHealthcare was basically executed in Midtown Manhattan. And listen, it's a horrible tragedy any way you cut it. That should never ever happen to anybody. This was a guy who's my age, basically. He's like 50 or 51 years old or something like that. He's married, has two kids who are left behind without a dad, and it's a horrible tragedy. And as things have and my condolences to his loved ones, obviously his wife, his kids, anyone who is in his circle. Obviously I'm sure he'll be terribly missed, and it's sad. Back years ago, like I said, if you follow my platforms, you know that I don't love health insurance companies. I think they're really just horrible institutions. And like I said earlier, United is the worst of them all. And I've been very vocal about just how awful and disgusting and vile companies like United, in particular UnitedHealthcare, are. And I've been very vocal about it on social media, various videos.
These companies are horrible, vile, disgusting, immoral, shameful institutions. This is the problem. So no matter what, the system is rigged for United to make a tremendous profit. That's the exact problem with healthcare. Just remember, UnitedHealthcare, Optum, they're not your friend. They don't care about you. They care about their bank account. They are a wolf in sheep's clothing.
It's crazy that UnitedHealthcare, Optum are allocating their resources to harassing doctors or to denying patients benefits. After this happened yesterday, I was getting some of my videos, which went viral in the past, went viral again, and I was getting a lot of comments and stuff on those particular videos. And there's just so much hate towards health insurance companies. And actually, right before I sat down to record this podcast, an article came out in the New York Times, which I think basically sums this thing up pretty well. And the title of the article, it literally came out less than an hour ago. And the title of the article, which I'll share, because I think it just kind of captures how people generally feel pretty well. The title of the article is "Torrent of Hate for Health Insurance Industry Follows CEO's Killing." The shooting death of UnitedHealthcare executive in Manhattan has unleashed Americans' frustrations with an industry that often denies coverage and reimbursement for medical claims. The fatal shooting on Wednesday of a top UnitedHealthcare executive, Brian Thompson, on a Manhattan sidewalk has unleashed a torrent of morbid glee from patients and others who say they've had negative experiences with health insurance companies at some of the hardest times in their lives. "Thoughts and deductibles to the family," read one comment underneath the video of the shooting posted online by CNN. "Unfortunately, my condolences are out of network." On TikTok, one user wrote, "I'm an ER nurse, and the things I've seen dying patients get denied for by insurance makes me physically sick. I just can't feel sympathy for him because of all of those patients and their families." The dark commentary after the death of Mr. Thompson, a 50-year-old insurance executive from Maple Grove, Minnesota, who is also a husband and a father of two children, highlighted the anger and frustration over the state of healthcare in America, where those with private insurance often find themselves in a Kafkaesque tangles while seeking reimbursement for medical treatment and are often denied. Messages that law enforcement officials say were found on bullet casings at the scene of the shooting in front of a Midtown hotel, delay and deny, are two words familiar to many Americans who have interacted with insurance companies for almost anything other than routine doctor visits. Mr. Thompson was chief executive of his company's insurance division, which reported $281 billion in revenue last year. That's billion with a B, provided coverage to millions of Americans through the health plans it sold to individuals, employers, and people under government programs like Medicare. That's Medicare Part C, Part Crap, which I had a separate podcast about. The division employs roughly 140,000 people. Mr. Thompson received a $10.2 million compensation package last year, a combination of $1 million in base pay and cash and stock grants. He was shot to death as he was walking toward the annual investor day for UnitedHealth Group, UnitedHealthcare's parent company. Apparently, the meeting went on, after he was shot, which just shows you how cold and disgusting this company is. Stephen Mayer, the chair of the management division at Columbia Business School, said the attack could send shockwaves through the broader health insurance industry. About 7 chief executives of publicly traded companies die each year, he said, but almost always from health complications or accidents. A targeted attack could have much larger implications. The insurance industry is not the most loved, to put it mildly, Mr. Mayer said. If you're a C-suite executive of another insurance company, I would be thinking, what does this mean for me? Am I next? A longtime employee of UnitedHealthcare said that workers at the company had been aware for years that members were unhappy. Mr. Thompson was one of the few executives who wanted to do something about it, said the employee, who spoke on condition of anonymity because the company does not allow workers to speak publicly without permission. In speeches to employees, Mr. Thompson spoke about the need to change the state of healthcare coverage in the country and the culture of the company, topics other executives avoided, the employee said. Although there's heightened concern among some public-facing healthcare companies, said Eric Sean Clay, the president of the International Association for Healthcare Security and Safety, the trade group includes members that offer security to some of the largest healthcare companies in North America. The CEOs are quite often the most visible face of an organization, he said. Sometimes people hate on that individual and wish to do them harm. But few healthcare companies provide security for their executives, he said, in part to avoid bad optics or because it may seem unnecessary. In the hours after the shooting early Wednesday morning, social media exploded with anger towards the insurance industry and Mr. Thompson. I pay $1,300 a month for health insurance with an $8,000 deductible, $23,000 yearly. That's typical, by the way. When I finally reached that deductible, they denied my claims. He was making millions of dollars a month, read one comment on TikTok. Another commenter wrote, this needs to be the new norm. Eat the rich. The ambulance ride to the hospital probably won't be covered, wrote a commentator on TikTok video in which another user featured an audio clip from the Netflix show Queen Charlotte, a Bridgerton story. In it, the Queen makes a dramatic show of faux sorrow over a death. I think that article pretty much captures how hated UnitedHealthcare is and health insurance companies in general. Again, it sounds like he might have been one of the good guys, maybe trying to change the culture, against, basically an impenetrable wall of greed. If any good is to come out of this, I hope it does kind of the hate that all of us have for health insurance companies, all of us who are not basically making gajillion dollars working for the health insurance companies, anyone on the other side, whether that's patients or doctors whose patients are denied care for just obvious treatment that they need. We're constantly fighting with insurance companies as doctors to get medications and procedures approved for our patients that they need, like MRIs and stuff like that. And frequently after we already take care of a patient, we're denied reimbursement for care we already provided. So basically you treat a patient, you cure a patient, and then the claim gets denied, but your hands are tied as a doctor. And it's very, very hard to there are few of us remaining, independent mom and pop, small business doctors' offices, and the reason why is it's just impossible to fight these behemoth, and evil institutions like UnitedHealthcare. So if any good is to come out of this, I hope the culture of how healthcare companies operate changes for the better, because clearly there is an immense amount of hatred towards these companies, signaled or really captured by the events that happened yesterday morning. So again, condolences to the family. I mean, no family should ever have to go through anything like this. And that's all I have to say about it. I hope you all have a wonderful, restful weekend or just ready to crush the week ahead. I will just like to add, it's very important for patients and doctors to be as vocal as possible when these sorts of things happen, when you're denied coverage or your coverage is delayed. The more vocal we are about it, which is the proper way to, protest the way insurance companies operate, the more likely there is for change to happen. So with that, let's get it.